And I'm a minute late. That's okay, right, Cat? That's okay. Cat has just been pouring it up over the. Yeah, right, right. You just been camera hungry recently, kitty. Hey, everybody, welcome. Houston have a problem. This is show 250. Whoa, we're at 250 of these. Absolutely blowing my mind. Just mind blown that we've done this. And for some reason, the last like 30 shows, the cat really wants to just be here all day, every day. Thank you for joining me. We've got a couple of weird things happen over the weekend. We had the Canadian brokerages all show 102.98 US in their accounts. Was 137 whatever was the Canadian equivalent, and we why such a glitch, right? I don't know what if today it showed the same glitch. Someone said that they contacted the broker. The broker's like, oh well, we're gonna fix that. Could it be a simple gray market happening? Who knows? I think others are pointing out that there's an oil company that had the exact same price on their stock when it closed on Friday. That's weird. Apparently the space calls got a little out of control. People started like getting really mean with each other. I get it. You guys are bored. You want something to happen. But right now, kind of beyond being able to contact, law enforcement, contact regulators, and contacting your elected representatives, there's not much we can do until something comes from the legal system or some decision maker does something. So there's no need to like turn each other because the thing that you're speculating about is different than something someone else is speculating about. You're both speculating with no concrete answers about anything. So like, chill out, baby. There's no reason, right, Cat? There's no reason. What else I want to talk about, Kitty? Oh yeah, GME and the meme stocks are having a little run today. GameStop's got to get up to $23 to get to max pain, so you might see it climb a little bit more. I don't remember what AMC's max pain was. Come on, let's look it up, Kitty. AMC max pain. Okay, MaximumPain.com had. Ow! You just bit me. Oh, gotta go scene. Gotta go scene. Gotta go Chrome. Gotta go. Boom. There we go. Okay, Max Pain, $9. So AMC's got some room to run to get to Max Pain. Currently just about $6. So it's got some room to run. I bought a couple of GME weeklies just to see if it does get up to max pain and pocket some pennies. Probably should have bought some AMC ones because I think AMC was at $5 today before it climbed. Could have made like $100 right off the bat, right, Cat? Yeah, that was cold, wet nose. All right, cool. Yeah. Oh, hey, I accidentally did it first. I didn't mean to do the intro, but I guess I had to do the intro anyway. So that was an accidental solo intro. No second intro for you. Oops. Meow meow. Do you think the hedgies started faking shares after they saw how easy it was for NASA to fake the moon landings? Them's fighting words. Meow meow. Them's fighting words. We went to the moon, Cat. Don't fear. Okay. Counts as a double. Okay. We're probably not gonna hear any news from Rosa this week. She's on her vacation. Let her enjoy it. She's been planning for a year with her friends for this vacation, so gonna let her enjoy it. She did her submissions. We're out until next week when she gets back. So that's awesome. And do I have anything else, Cat? I don't remember if there's anything right off the bat that's pertinent, but meow meow again. Hey everyone, what do the moon landings and Easter Bunny and my 14,000 shares have in common? Kitty. He's looking for fighting words today. Looking for fighting words. Okay. Let's just hit the yield chat. Okay. Oh, Hain Train's in here. I got the calendars in. Hain Train's Talvin 4's calendars are sent. I still need Kevin, if you are in here at all. Send me via either Reddit, Twitter, whatever. Send me a DM with your address and I can send you your calendar. I don't have anything yet for this month's Charity Tuesday if I'm going to have a prize for anything. So maybe we'll find out. I'll find out something. I don't know. Maybe you'll get a can of Spam or something. Okay. Oh, you chatter. Meow meow. Answer. They're all sticky. Oh, G-Font, I did not have a chance to watch Richard's video yet. You sent it to me. I didn't have a chance to watch it. I'll have to do that this evening. So maybe tomorrow's show I'll have an opinion for you on Richard's video. His swaps theory. Cat, what are you doing? Cat keeps rubbing his head on the camera. He loves... No, quit rubbing your head on the camera. You're going to unplug it. And then monkey cam's going to vanish. Nope. Nope. Stop it. Okay. God. Stop rubbing your head on the camera. Oh, dude, seriously? Just, I know, it's so wonderful and such a great, there you go. Just, yeah, go away. Yeah, stand on some crinkly plastic. That's, yes, do that. Okay. Now we can see the screen. Cat's out of the way. Martin in Switzerland had some excellent fondue, and I wish I was in Switzerland right now having some fondue. No Legs of Steel, Belly of Jelly tour for Houston this year. Well, maybe if we get some MMTLP payout sometime in the next few days, I can afford to go. But no Swiss trip this year. Danny Motes, Houston, happy birthday. See the big rug pool in the market coming. A rug pull in the market coming. Thoughts on that timeline? It's so hard to predict because every time we think it's about to happen, the Federal Reserve just pumps money into buying up securities. So without knowing how that particular manipulation is going to stop, it's really hard to figure out, I think, when that rug pull is going to happen. Now, a big survey that they did of attendees of WEF this year, which is where all the billionaires go and shake hands, pretty much 73% of them are predicting a deep recession this year. So if they're hedging for it, then my guess is central banks are hedging for it. It's going to be hard to avoid the fact that houses aren't selling, corporate real estate's going empty, commercial real estate's going empty. Inflation is still a problem. We still have a massive war in Ukraine that's affecting oil and gas and food and all that stuff. And we have an overvalued market. Eventually, and COVID's still COVID pandemic going on with supply chains. My washing machine is 2 years old. It managed to fail like a week after its warranty went up. It's got this little sensor. There's like a almost like an oil pan type thing in the bottom. It's a plastic plate. There's this little moisture sensor that's down there. And that moisture sensor, if it senses there's a leak and it, oh my gosh, water's it's leaking out of the machine, it won't allow you to use the dishwasher. So the dishwasher is busted until I get a new sensor. I ordered this thing, I don't know, around Christmas. Its shipping is delayed until January 30th. First, they delayed to yesterday. And then they got an email today saying, oh no, it's not until January 30th. We just can't get the part from the manufacturer. So supply chain is still paying the butt for everybody. It's just this little plastic thing, a little moisture sensor in it. Cost me $40, but it probably cost them 20 cents to make. So supply chain's still awful. And car prices are plummeting like crazy. Inventories are going up. The days it takes to make a sale of a house or a car are going through the roof. So there we go. Wheat Wild, good night. Going to watch this tomorrow while driving around my valley. We landed on the moon, which a ring, so it's obviously a superstructure. You guys just in here to piss me off tonight, aren't you? Okay. Stephen Latham here's talking about the 102.98 per share of MMTLP in Canada, which is the same price for ConocoPhillips stock. Interesting. Very. Yes. Wheatwell watches the Y-Files too. Mr. Lasuna. HW, thanks for answering the space questions, adding to questions about the observable universe. To your mind, does what exists outside that constitutes a multiverse? This idea was proposed, right? To what mind does what exists outside that constitute as multiverse? Oh, okay. So you're talking about the observable universe. What outside the observable universe could be a multiverse? I don't necessarily prescribe to like multiverse theory, which came about from string theory. And string theory has been wrong pretty much about everything. Every experiment ever done to test the validity of string theory has shown string theory's hypothesis to be wrong. There's never been an experiment where they're like, holy crap, string theory predicted this to happen. It did. That's not ever happened. And whenever they're wrong, they like fudge the numbers and go back to it again. But there was an interesting hypothesis someone made because, we talked about how there's matter and antimatter. It appears, collides, disappears, and leaves behind a gamma ray photon. And it happens all over the place. It's just appearing, colliding. We don't know why. And when the Big Bang happened, whoomp, they don't know why the universe ended up with more regular matter than antimatter. So like our planet is made of regular matter. We expected all this stuff to appear into existence and then basically blink out again as it, collided with their antimatter selves. And you'd expect the universe to be neutral. And there's been no good explanation as to why we have a universe made of matter rather than like not existing at all, because all the antimatter and matter cancel each other out. Now, there's been, it's kind of like rough little hypotheses. No one's really gone deep into it, but that, when the universe went boom, a bunch of antimatter went that way and a bunch of matter went that way. So beyond the veil, that fuzzy veil outside of our light cone that we can't see, we can't pierce, is an entire rest of the universe made up of antimatter with their own galaxies, stars, planetary systems, etc. It's just that the protons are negatively charged and the electrons are positively charged. And that's how that universe operates. Same gravity, same photons, everything else. It's just that the baryonic matter has the opposite charge as where we are in our universe. And we just can't see it because when it went bonk, it's on the other side of the Big Bang. I always like that idea. Again, there's like no way to test it, no way to prove it, no way. It's just fun to think about. And so I'd like to think about that there is a mirrored universe to us on the other side of the Big Bang that is exactly the same as ours. It's just that if we were to shake hands with our anti-selves, both of us would blink out of existence and fire off a bunch of gamma ray photons, because they'd be the anti-cells. But they would call us the anti-cells. They'd be like, right now, there's Houston, we have a problem podcast going on like 30 billion light years away. And in that podcast, there's a me wearing the same shirt with the next level's chimney thing. And they're talking about how in that backwards universe, electrons have a negative charge and protons have a positive charge. What a bunch of crazy assholes. And if I were to shake hands with that anti-self, I'd blink out of existence. That's always fun. Meow meow. Moon is a spaceship built by lizard people. Ah! Mr. Lasuna, thanks again. Trying to write a question within a word limit. The theory I was alluding to is proposed by Tegmark, I think. How a multiverse would work, some people believe that there are multiple dimensions inside of this existence. We just can't see it because we don't have the eyes that are trained to see it. Other people think that, you know, they're just parallel, like there's a universe over here, and 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 they're all doing their things. The part of string theory that really bothers me is that there's this belief that whenever anything is faced with a choice, a new probability universe spins off. Meaning, like, I chose just now to pick up this baseball, and because I had the option of not picking up this baseball, an entire new universe just spun off and has a different timeline entirely because I chose not to pick up the baseball in that universe. And because I just chose to put the baseball down, another new universe spun off where I didn't choose to put the baseball down. That stuff is just dumb. Like, you know, it's great for moving a story along and having a plot to a Marvel movie, or to, you know, what if the Nazis won World War II, huh? You know, Man in the High Castle, that type of thing. And those things, you know, they're great plot devices, but I don't think that's how the universe works. You can run the probability of a decision, but once the decision is made and something happens, you know, the cue ball's rolling. Kelly Reed, reminder, monopoly ends when no one can afford to live on the board anymore. At that point, everything becomes worthless. Money means nothing. The hotels sit abandoned. The only thing left is restart. Right, Monkey? Yes? Yes. Monkey agrees. Money or over Mayo. When is Rosa getting an answer from Finra? Oh, Robert Hurst answers right below it. February 1st is the due date. She should have gotten an answer on the 11th. But they didn't do that, and they begged for an extension. The judge was like, okay, multi-billion-dollar organization, we'll give you a 20-day reprieve. Hoshi Gaming, got any tips if I'm going to Japan? Any places I should 100% check out? And got any cool websites or PowerPoints about space to show my friend? She's learning about it and wants to know more. Well, I haven't been to Japan since I was a little kid. So, and then, even then, I spent all my time in Okinawa, which as a kid is great because there's beaches everywhere, tons of resorts to go to. I had a blast as a kid in Okinawa. My little sister is in Japan right now. She spent the first week up in Hokkaido skiing. Awesome. Japan is amazing. Everyone I know who's gone skiing there says it's the best snow they've ever experienced in their life. And now she's in Tokyo. But I honestly, I mean, go see some Shinto shrines, go up Mount Fuji, go to a robot, I don't know, store, festival. Do the go-karts where you can be Super Mario Brothers driving around downtown Tokyo. That's always awesome. Watch Our Man in Japan. James May's Our Man in Japan. That was an amazing travel show. And James May goes to Japan, and he goes from the north to the south and sees all the things. I thought that was a really brilliant travel show. And that might give you some ideas. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I could tell you about the really great A&W burger I had when I was 8 years old in Okinawa. But there were some cool water parks. I remember that. Yeah. Cat, you're in the way of the... Nope, don't push your face in my water. Yeah, sit down. There you go. Okay, here. Here, I will move this out of the way so you can at least lay down there. That work for you? Okay. Where was it? Hoshi Gaming. Carlos R. Houston, thoughts on No Labs? Why is the price share so blah? Love you, man. Well, because they've been getting short attacked as well. And until they get FDA approval for their product, they're going to be a speculative stock. They're further along than all of the other non-invasive glucose monitoring systems because they've finished their first round of human trials. They're going to their second round, which is now testing like the actual device itself. Before they're testing the technology that went into it. So they had like these armrests with the measuring things. You put your arm on the armrest, so they could, measure and then test it against your actual blood reading when they draw your blood and calibrate everything. Now they're going to design the actual wearable that will go on your wrist and test it then to see how it compares to the actual blood draws. They'll have probably another round after that, their phase 3, and then they'll submit to the FDA. And if they get approved, then that stuff is rocketing, because they will pull down pretty much every single solitary diabetic person, if not in the U.S., in the world, and it will all be taken care of by insurance, and they'll make a fortune. Okay. Ingrid Scard. Houston, what is your opinion on the increased media scrutiny on predatory short selling lately? It feels like something's ramping up. I think because we're making noise. But by we, I mean like people in this chat, people who are watching this show. There's only 347 of you in here right now. Another, I don't know, 5,000 to 7,000 will watch this later. But those people are the ones contacting people in the news, contacting elected officials, contacting regulators, contacting law enforcement, and being stinky little buttholes. You guys are making so much noise and complaining so much that it's being forced into the consciousness of folks in the media. Our own William Morgan managed to get Charles Payne in contact with John Berta and Hamilton and Wes Christian, and boom, they just did a whole show today, all because of our beloved William Morgan, who loves to dump news on us. So it's you folks who are kicking ass. I got a call scheduled tomorrow with the business editor of CNN to talk about MMTLP. So we'll be doing that. We need to get it into the consciousness of folks and start, when they start seeing it over and over and over on their news feeds and on their TV and in their, Google News or whatever, it'll start being more and more into the consciousness of folks, and something will have to get done. Because when you get to a certain level of outrage with enough people, elected officials go, ooh, this is now not worth the $5,000 donation I got from the hedge fund. I might actually have to do something about this. Okay, we will find our $5,000 elsewhere. And that's what it will come down to, is that kind of tenacity. And make lots of noise, be annoying, be relentless, don't shut up. That's what we got to do. Call your broker, call the Finra, call the SEC, call the FBI, call your elected officials, call the news media, send them messages, leave them voicemails. Just don't stop. And we've been going for what, 40 days now? December 9th. Yeah, about 40 days. We've been making noise, and we really have not relented. So keep being dicks. Good job, everybody. Round of applause, pat on the back, scratch the cat's head. Okay. Philip Tang, happy 250. Thank you. Fried taters also from Wahoo here. Puts on Alibaba. I mean, Alibaba has had quite the swings recently, hasn't it? And then there was reports that came out yesterday that Ryan Cohen bought a whole bunch, but there's absolutely no filings from his family fund that he did so, Cohen Ventures. So I have no idea if that's true or not. And Ryan Cohen buying a couple $100 million of a company that's worth like $500 billion is not going to be a dent in what Jack Ma does with Alibaba. Ryan Cohen, I bought a couple $100 million in shares. Jack Ma, you do what I say. Jack Ma's gonna be like, I do what China tells me to do. and that is kind of how Jack Ma works. Greg Spence was telling everyone on a show today that after the reverse split, the price will be down to $4. Should be up 10x, not down. Yeah, it'll go up. If you're doing a reverse split, if you're taking one share, it's worth $5, and 10 shares worth $5 each. You make it one share. That one share is worth $50. That's how a reverse split works. Frodo Baggins. Looks like some meme stocks are popping today. Your thoughts? Potential for some gamma squeeze this week? We might get a little bit of delta hedging if they pop a little bit more tomorrow. Depending on how much it pops tomorrow, I might dump the calls I got for a nice little profit. And then if it finishes above 23, like GME finishes above 23, and let's say AMC finishes above 9, where it has to be for max pain, I would expect a little gamma Monday and Tuesday next week. So what I will do is I'll take whatever little winnings I get from this play, sell that out. I will buy weeklies on Friday for next week and see what happens Monday, Tuesday. If we get a good pop, like a real good pop on Monday, might be enough for me. Get out and collect those greens. But if it's a little slow to roll on Monday, then I might hold for Tuesday and see what happens. But in the coming weeks, because this Friday is when all those dupes, those deep out of the money puts expire, I expect to see weird stuff happen in the next few weeks as these short sellers desperately try to find ways to cover. And it's going to cost them a lot of money. If they're going to buy the dupes for next year, those are like 4 times more expensive than the ones, maybe like 10 times more expensive than the ones they bought that are expiring on this Friday. Because when they bought those other ones, the share price was $100, $200, right? And they were buying 25-cent puts. Those are worthless. You buy those for a penny each. Who gives a shit? But now the price at like $20, trying to buy a $250 or $350 put is significantly more expensive because it's a much more appreciable size of the cost of that stock. I come, all right, cat, just get in the way of things. We get it. Come on over. Come on. Go sit next to the dog. Yeah, that's it. Go over there. Yeah, do it. Go sit next to the dog. Look at his little butthole. Okay. Kellerus, Houston, you talked about how the short hedge fund owe a lot of money on their shorts, but if they do debt swaps, won't they be safe from any movement on GME and some other poor organization and stuck with the bill? I honestly don't know what the game of hot potato with debt swaps are like. Because my guess is you could probably take someone who has, I don't know, an AMC position and someone has a GME position and you just swap those garbage bags, right? And then 35 days after that, you swap with someone else who's got a GTII position or a Nokia or whatever. And those are just going to bounce around every 35 days. And as long as they're moving and that clock is getting reset with every swap, then you're doing okay. But when the music stops and someone gets margin called and you get a cascade of margin calls across the board, liquidations, you might be stuck with whatever bag it is you're holding. And that'll be your garbage bag at that point. And you might not even know what's in it until time comes. You're just like, yeah, I'll do a swap, equivalent value, swap. And that might be the game that they're playing. So you may end up, after 30 months of swapping these things, you may have your original garbage bag back. I have no idea. Andrew Stewart, Houston, what are brokers going to do if we don't pay to send our shares AST? Can they take away our shares? They cannot take away your shares. That would be garbage. I think some of the threats from them wanting to take away shares is they want to get as many registered as possible so that they have an idea of how many shorts they've got to cover or close out. That might be it. I was trying to game that through in my head. Why Webull would say if you don't register by the 20th, you can't register. There's no time limit on registering your shares. There isn't. It's not like they're going to expire or something. But my guess is that if they're going to do something, if they're going to launch a gray market, they want to get as many real shares out as possible, so that only, you know, there's only a few people left in their brokerage that can do the sales. Because, you know, if they keep AST out of the gray market, then you just have 165 million people who can't be greedy with us. And I think that might be what they're going for. So if they're going to open up a gray market next week or sometime soon, that's why they want to get as many people out. Ow, you bit me. Don't bite me. As possible. So Don Caesar Shadem, you might like this. Single stock inverse Tesla ETFs, TSLS, TSLQ, TSLI. See, you fully converted me. Those are probably kicking ass right now. Let's see what one of these are doing. TSLS. 1 year. Dang. Yep, definitely going inverse on that one. So a year ago, you could have bought $23. It peaked at 55, so you would have been up 100%. Not too shabby. What's TS? What was the other one? TSLQ. TSLQ. This one was at like 30 something. It peaked. So both these have a little bit more than doubled. Not too shabby. And TSLI. TSLI. 1 year. This one, buy at 23, peaked at 58. So this one almost went up 3x. Not too shabby. It's getting a little hit hard now, but it played hard there. Big run up from beginning of December when Tesla lost like $1 trillion in their market cap. Yeah. All right. Tedulus. Teduli. How to recognize a stock that is being short attacked versus one that is not. I mean, before we were looking at short interest, but short interest is self-reported, so a lot of that is not entirely accurate. I would look at like look at like the annual sales of the company. Oftentimes, you look at a company like GameStop, right? GameStop was doing $5 billion a year in sales, and at one point you could buy the entire company for $200 million. That doesn't make any sense. Like Twitter does $5 billion a year in sales, and Elon bought it for $44 billion. Chewy did $5 billion in sales, and its market cap was like $35 billion. So you can look at how much it does in sales and what the market cap probably should be, and you can see that, okay, it might be getting shorted like crazy. I would look at also, just if it seems to be just absolutely just suppressed down into like a couple of dollars or in the pennies when it shouldn't be. There's a couple of companies out there. The one that the Hamilton guy who's on Charles Payne's show, the company has like no debt, and its stock is like 60 cents. Why would a profitable company that has no debt be at 60 cents? That doesn't make any sense. 60 cents makes no sense. So those are the kind of things you look at. And people will look at the number, like the volume being traded. So if you got a company that's trading its entire float in a day or two, you probably can expect that there's a lot of naked shorting going on. What other clues can you get keyed in on? The percentage of sales that go to dark pools or are sold short. That's another good one. Yeah, so those are good places to start. And usually somebody will dig real deep on Reddit about one of those stocks, and they'll let you know there's some very single-minded weirdos on the spectrum and Reddit who go deep. Mark Sloan, not all brokers. TD Canada still shows $0. Okay, so not TD America. TD in general. TD America here. TD in Canada. Toronto Dominion. Kith Houston, Canadian broker now requiring trades to settle before cashing. Something is up. Trust has evaporated. They're not certain they're going to get shares, musical chairs. Possibly. I mean, we've always had to wait 2 days to cash out after you sell something, right? I don't know if I don't have a brokerage that lets me cash out. Like, I sold my shares, sweet, I'm out, and then put it in my bank account. That always make you wait like 2 days for the settlement to happen. But was Canada allowing you to just pull your money then and leave it to the broker to be stuck with? Treat for Monkey Butt. I got no treats. I got nothing. I have no treats at the moment for Monkey Butt. She ate them all. Oh, Marcus Wington, $0 in my Scotia account now. Okay. Robert Hurt. I was so chill this weekend that I built a new deck for the front door. Good job. I still need to get my old roommate to get all his crap out of the garage so I can use the wood shop because I still can't use it. Scott, if you're watching, come get your shit. Okay. Does Legacy 10 Productions asking about the reason for Webull given the January 20th deadline? Yeah, I think it has everything to do with them wanting to get as many shares out of their brokerage as possible, so there's less people to have to deal with if it goes to a gray market. That'd be my guess. Meow Meow needs a catnip infusion. Oh, and I just lost my place again. Jimmy D, 300 people in here and only 10 likes. What the heck? Yeah, Jimmy D. Everyone should just like for Jimmy D's case sake. I always forget to do the like, subscribe thing. Like, subscribe, hit the buttons in various parts of on and off the screen. Click the little bell. I always forget to do those things. So do those things. Okay. Oh. Alex Das Liebe? Met you through your Graham Elwood crossovers. Nice to meet you. Well, thank you. Thank you, Alex, for swinging by and hanging out on our humble little program here. Yeah. So just so you know, we just kind of talk about whatever you guys want me to talk about. That's how it rolls. I usually come out with a show with sort of a main headline for the day. And if we don't have a guest on to do interview, then you guys just throw stuff at me and we bounce it. About half the show, maybe sometimes more than half the show, 2/3 of the show might be finance related. And then people will throw science, history, geography, geology, current events questions at me. And every once in a while, someone wants me to go on some gigantic rant. And so they'll pick something completely controversial. And then I'll lose my shit for 20 minutes. And then half my viewers are like, I'm never watching you again. And I go, fuck you. And we're okay. So that's how that goes. I curate my viewership by those who can tolerate me, or who actually enjoy me. So welcome aboard, my man. Okay, Canadian broker question. Like I said, impression question. Meow Meow question. Okay. Frodo Baggins. We totally went to the moon. I grew up in Houston and have seen the moon rocks. I've seen moon rocks too. If you ever had the chance in school to have moon rocks come to your school, it was quite the event. When I was in 9th grade, a dude came from NASA to my science class, and there was literally 2 men with submachine guns in our classroom. You know, talking like gun-free school zone or whatever. There are 2 men in suits with submachine guns, like around their necks, and like a nerd from NASA who came with this locked box and brought out like some containers full of basalt rocks. And we got to see them and not touch them. And that was our experience. The other really cool thing he did is he brought a tile from the space shuttle. And the space shuttle tiles are like the most thermally conductive things in the entire world. And what he did is I may have told the story before, but he placed the tile on this holder and he took a torch that was just like blue flame, just insanely hot. He just blasted this thing and had a conversation with us while talking. And this thing is just glowing. It's glowing red. It's glowing blue. It's glowing white. It's just absolutely, the heat is coming off of it. And people are like in the front row starting to sweat because of how much heat is coming off this thing. And this guy's blasting this thing for like 20 minutes while talking all about science of, how we get into space and do the orbiting, whatever. And he puts the torch down and picked up the tile. And we all screamed. And it was room temperature. So this thing was like glowing a kajillion degrees. And he just immediately took the torch off it and picked it up, and it was room temperature. That's how quickly it cleared that heat and how conductive it was. Absolutely incredible technology goes into that stuff. So I highly recommend being a ninth grader and having NASA bring rocks and a space tile to your classroom. It'll blow your mind. Okay. No worries. I used to listen to Houston, but then I found out he voted for Biden. Whoa. Oh, and yet here you are. Welcome. Decatur Raw. Happy birthday, Houston. Is there any news on MMTLP, or are we all locked out from making a small fortune? Currently, we're locked out. And there is no news, as far as I know. William Morgan said that there was going to be an announcement from West Christian on, I don't know if an announcement got made. Let's see here. William Morgan, anything new here? So just West Christian has a bunch of CEOs talking together. There was something that's going to be an announcement that was like a corporate action for MMTLP, announcement imminent, but so far I don't think so. I think they're doing a space call right now. I can't do the space calls. I don't know what it is. I just feel like antsy in the pantsy when they happen. Ecorletto 46. Thank you. This is Mill Jones. It's been too long. I'm taking the calendar. You guys are goofy. Okay. The cat works for Citadel. Johnny Mac, hate mail you want, Houston. I would still love your channel and thoughts. Okay, lots of Canadian burger questions. Up. Fudge your teats off, Houston. Geology rocks, but geography is where it's at. That in mind, here's some coordinates. Let's go somewhere. Let's take a trip. Let's take a trip somewhere in the world, and we will go. Come on, click. We will go there. Bam, bam. We're going to Shaboom. Where were we? Australia? Borneo? Oh, we're China. This is the giant new radio telescope. So, see that guy right there? So this is the new record holder for biggest radio telescope. It's huge. How big is it across? Let's do a quick little measurement. So it is 1/3 of a mile across in diameter. That's a pretty big radio telescope. Although I don't see in this picture, I don't see the crane it needs for doing the array for the antenna. We got a soccer field. They got a soccer field there. That's pretty sweet. It's in the crater of looks like an old volcano. It's like what they had in Arecibo in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. So the old world record holder fell apart because the United States government sucks at maintaining their infrastructure. Where are you, Arecibo telescope? Oh, that's not it. Arecibo telescope. Where are you? Is that it? There it is. So this is the one from you saw in GoldenEye. It was built into the crater of an ancient volcano. How big is this one? I don't think it's quite as big. It's about not quite about a fifth of a mile across, so it's smaller. It was the largest radio telescope in the world, and they let it fall into disrepair because we're America and we fight over budgeting things. Then he got its ass kicked during Hurricane Maria, and we just never bothered to do anything about it. So both these telescopes, because they're fixed, they're spherical in shape, so they're little hemispheres. And what you do is to get a focal point, you have a crane with an antenna, and to point somewhere, you have to move the antenna over to where that focal point is. And because it's fixed, it rotates with the Earth. And as it rotates with the Earth, it gets these kind of Doppler shifted, I don't know what to call them, like signals, because you can only see the star for a moment. So as it rolls by, so you get that star for a moment, and it kind of does this weird Doppler shift as you rotate by. So if you ever had Boink, the SETI at home screensaver on your computer back in the day, you were processing most likely Arecibo data, and the data would have these weird kind of intensity spikes that made it look like the sinusoidal waves as different stars passed by the focal point of the antenna. And it can look 24 hours a day, daytime, nighttime. Radio telescopes don't care as long as it's not pointed at the sun. And so it was a fantastic passive way of measuring radio signals coming from the stars and looking for patterns. But we suck as a nation now when it comes to scientific advancements, and we just don't maintain our infrastructure. So now China has the biggest one in the world, which is significantly larger than this guy. It's a third of a mile across, and this is only a fifth of a mile across. And it's newer technology, and they're maintaining it. So they're probably doing it with US dollars. They probably took out some bonds, had US investors pay for those bonds, and they built themselves an amazing telescope rather than just us paying for one here because America, right? So that's lame. That's super lame. Can I actually, oops. I can make this a little bigger, can't I? Yeah, let's do that. There we go. Hacha. All right. So fudge your teeth off. Excellent find there. Decatur Raw, Turkey seems like they're going to invade the Kurds in northern Syria. What you think? I mean, they did it once before. They did it in 2017, 18, sometime in there. It was during the Trump administration. And I mean, personally, I think the solution is you make a Kurdistan. You just carve out a chunk of Iran, a chunk of Iraq, a chunk of Syria, a chunk of Turkey, and you make a Kurdistan. And I'm sorry that these countries will lose some of their artificial borders that were generated during colonialism, but that's just how it rolls, man. And just give them a Kurdistan. Like you get this population spread across these artificial borders, and yeah, you know what? There's oil in some places, and they might live. That's where they've been for thousands of years. But I know that no one's ever going to do that solution. Instead, they're just going to, the ones in Iraq are going to be semi-autonomous, and the ones elsewhere are going to be under the thumb of Bashar al-Assad or Erdogan or whatever. But yeah, it's possible that Turkey would invade northern Syria. I don't think Turkey would have the balls to do anything about going into Kurdistan and Iraq. Those guys are armed, and they've been fighting for 20-something years. Bitcoin, China overtook the U.S. in global growth. Tough times ahead. We have way too much debt and overvaluation. Yeah, we got to kind of rip that Band-Aid at some point. We're gonna have to figure it out. We're going to have to tax the rich, pay this crap off. That's just how it's gonna have to be. But will we do it? Probably not until, there's tumbleweeds blowing across the hellscape that we've left behind. Ecorleto 46, thanks for everything, Houston. How about a breakdown of Rose's response to Finra, or did I miss the video? I'm now relying on you for all things related to her lawsuit. Thanks from the Queen City. Yes, I did. I had Rosa on. I don't think I did necessarily a breakdown of her exact response. We can do a little bit of that. We can show you guys. I gotta find it again. Duh. One sec. Nope, not that one. This one. I gotta go to the Tweetar. I've got to go to. Go there. Click that one. Go. And I gotta scroll until last week sometime. That was. When did I have Rose on? It was Wednesday last week, right? When she filed. That was the 11th? Was that 10th? Crap. Oh, no, wait. It might have been in a message. Sorry. I'm looking for person. Okay. Dizzy, where are you? That's not. Finra's response. This question is Rosa. Cred. Maybe it wasn't there. Shoot. Who sent it to me? I have it on my phone, but I don't think I have it on my computer yet. Who sent it to me? Who sent it to me? Would have been Uncle Smokey? Hopefully we can find it. Okay. Oh, he tweets a lot too, so it's gonna take a while. 13th, 11th, 15th, 13th. January. Oh, Bloomberg retweeted January 14th, 14th. Come on. Go back to 11, 13, 13, 13, 12. Come on, have it here, have it here, have it here. Hope it's in this one. It was a Dropbox, and I don't remember exactly where. All right, there's the 11th. Come on, hopefully it's on your timeline. Crud? No. Ah, crap. I'm gonna have to search Twitter. Rosa. That's for files from Finra attorney. Memorandum, support plaintiff's rule, motion consideration. There we go. This is it. Okay, I got it. Took me a while. Sorry. Boom. Turn off Google Earth. Okay, we can do a little breakdown of Rosa's. I mean, she kind of explained it to us the other day without having a breakdown. Of course, she was completely haggard and hadn't slept in 2 weeks at that point. But basically, what happened was Rosa filed her emergency injunction. The judge said, "Thank you for this, but for me to grant emergency injunction, I need to feel your pain. And to feel your pain, you've got to submit a complaint for a lawsuit." She said, "Okay." So she hustled her ass, wrote 202 pages, submitted a complaint like the next day. The judge said, "This is fantastic. Thank you so much. But in order to do a quick ex parte hearing, meaning just you and me and not the other party, I need a temporary restraining order." She said, "Okay." So the next day, she submitted a temporary restraining order. Judge's like, "This is great." Well, and then she contacted the judge a few times. She's like, "Please, let's have a hearing, let's have a hearing, let's have a hearing." And the judge said, "Quit contacting me about having a hearing. I may choose to have a hearing, I may not choose to have a hearing, but just stop calling my office. But I also need you to serve the other party and have that proof of service." So on the 22nd of December, she served Finra's office and submitted that affidavit of service. And from that point forward, the clock was ticking, and that Finra had 20 days to respond. And so Finra's first response was to the emergency injunction and temporary restraining order, which said they cannot do. And Finra's response was kind of garbage. it basically said, we have immunity, you can't sue us, nanny boo boo. And even if you were going to sue us, we did the right thing by protecting investors, because we protected them from the problems of settlement if there were 2 more days of trading, which is just garbage, because there's been nothing but problems with settlement as a result of not closing out short positions, and we are in just a cascade of fire. They refuse to acknowledge anything about shorts existing on this ticker. They mentioned it twice in their filing, and both of them were times they're quoting Rosa as a reason why she was suing, and they didn't address it. So their filing was kind of dog shit. But the next day, they filed on a Friday. It was on a Monday. The judge threw out, dismissed the emergency injunction and temporary restraining order, citing Finra's immunity, which was garbage, because Finra only has immunity to monetary damages, not to being sued in general. And there's countless times where Finra has been sued and on grounds other than monetary damages, and have lost. So Rosa submitted this on the 11th, which was the day that Finra was supposed to respond to their supposed to submit their response to the lawsuit, and they didn't. They begged for an extension, and the judge gave them another 20 days for some reason. So Rosa's is 20-something pages. It is really, really brilliant. Here's what I'll do. I will get the Dropbox link, copy that, and I'll throw it into the chat here. Boom, boom. So you too can have access to what I'm looking at. So Rosa's is a memorandum in support of plaintiff's rule on this court rule 59, in a motion for reconsideration of order. So basically, she's saying, Judge, you didn't do your due diligence and look at the case law properly when you threw out my emergency injunction. I have every legal right for this emergency injunction. That's what she's saying right there in the top. So she's respectfully moves the court to, pursuant to Rule 59 and Rule 60B of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, to alter or amend its order entered on January 9th, which is the day that they threw out her emergency order. Defendant filed memorandum opposition to plaintiff's temporary restraining order. 1, absolute immunity, citing 1, absolute immunity. 2, alleging no imminent harm. 3, lack of emergency. 4, the plaintiff failed to demonstrate ruling in her favor would serve the public interest. 5, the Sherman Act was superseded by the Exchange Act. And 6, that there should be no remedy by ruling in plaintiff's favor. So what she does is she goes through these claims that Finra made, and she shows not only that they are wrong in their claims, but when they cited the law, they did it misinterpreting the precedent that had been set by that law. So they'd say like, in this court case, it shows that Finra can't be sued. And then if you read the court case, Finra got sued and lost. So like things like that, like it was pretty lazy on the part of the Finra attorney, and probably pretty lazy on the part of the judge too. Sorry, this is the look of a dog who wants to be under a blanket. I know, buddy. There. Is that what you want? Yeah, that's what you want. Okay. All right. So summary. This is about Nextbridge hydrocarbons. It's giving the background to what happened. And she reiterates over and over again. So on like December 8th, the defendant was aware of over 9 million short positions that brokers and market makers were obligated to buy back and fulfill, which would have enriched shareholders, instituting the halt alleviated brokers and market makers. And she says that they know this because you just do not know how to get under a blanket. If you stand on the blanket, you cannot curl up in the blanket. Okay. She said so by citing their own website. So she's like, their own website says that there's like a 27% short interest going on. So there's, well over 200 million shares in existence when there should be only 165 million. So she's using FINRA's own sources to show that shit's fucked up. So it talks about how many shares they issued, and the fact that their estimates of over 100 million unreconcilable shares, meaning naked shares or short positions that haven't been closed. And if they force Nextbridge to issue the additional 100 million or more shares, that hurts her by devaluing her investment, right? So there's harm. And one thing that Finra was claiming is that she wasn't showing how she was harmed by any of this. So she's explaining directly how she can be harmed by the remedies that are available, which is, well, why doesn't Nextbridge just issue a bunch of more shares and then they can use those and give them to everybody who bought? Well, that dilutes the value of the shares, right? It shouldn't be on Nextbridge to produce those shares. It should be on the short hedge funds to take on that risk, because that's what you do. You take on risk when you short. So, such that thereby diluting shareholders' interest. Or two, total loss by failure to receive shares of Nextbridge hydrocarbons, because we're supposed to get a 1-for-1, right? We're supposed to get one Nextbridge for every MMTLP. And if there are 500 kajillion MMTLPs, how do you give your 1-for-1 if there's only 165 million Nextbridge? Okay, so those are the two ways she showed that she was harmed. Defense halt was the benefit of the obligators, brokers, and short positions, basically saying Finra puts thumb on the scale and help the bad guys. Defendants' consistent actions through the life of MMTLP have demonstrated actions in concert with brokers and market makers to alleviate the obligations of reconciling short positions and naked short positions, which violate securities law. So she's saying that when Finra claims they were just doing their job as a regulator to protect investors, she's arguing that no, every time you've done something has been specifically to help those who took on short positions. And that's who should be taking on the risk, not those who invested traditionally in the stock. And then she says, by reinstating MMTLP, you can fix this thing with little or no burden to the defendant, because Finra isn't responsible. Like, Finra's not paying for this. They just say, hey everybody, we're gonna do 2 more days of trading. Let's go. Close out your positions. That's what they do. It's not going to cost Finra any money to do that. It's a couple of tip taps in a keyboard. Bob's your uncle. There you go. Currently, there's no transparency from the defendant, brokers, or other market actors to explain, one, why the process of issuing shares in Nextbridge hydrocarbons is taking over 30 days. Defendant's daily notice memorandum indicated 2 days and up to 2 weeks. So basically, Finra's own daily notice said, oh, when Nextbridge issues this stuff on the 14th of December, it should take 2 to 14 days. And here we are 40-something days later, and none of us can guarantee that we have those shares in our account. 2, what happened to the short positions documented in the daily halt was issued in the 45 days leading up to the day the halt was issued. So it was on the thresholds list because it had been shorted for like 40-something days in a row with FTDs. And so we know that there are tons and tons and tons of failure to delivers, thus naked shares out there. And 3, how the defendant and brokers resolved the reconciliation without an open market. Basically, you can't close positions unless there's a market available for you to buy up either the synthetics or the shares to replace synthetics with. That's what she's saying. So without an open market, no way to actually reconcile this. Without open market, shareholders cannot receive market value for their shares, and members whom defendant regulates benefit by excusing the obligation to return shorted shares to shareholders. Plaintiff requests 1. An accounting of all actual short sale, borrowed, loaned, or any and all forms of Series A preferred dividend MMTLP as was ordered in Ameriverse Securities Incorporated versus Financial Industry Regulatory Authority Incorporated. So she's citing case law of where FINRA's had to provide this information before. The reissue of MMTLP to preserve plaintiff's investment. So basically saying, we must put MMTLP back into everyone's accounts for those 2 days. 3, a delay in the issuance of Nextbridge hydrocarbons until a full reconciliation has occurred and shares outstanding is in balance with shares issued. So she's saying you put MMTLP back in everyone's account, you open up trading for a couple more days, you close out every short position in existence, and then you distribute the Nextbridge shares to everyone's account. And which can be done because we have the certificates now at the brokers. We can easily say, okay, go to broker, go tip tap, open up the MMTLP QSIP again. We're going to spend 2 days closing, and at the end of those 2 days, then we can distribute finally all those Nextbridge shares you have. So this is her main argument. This is the federal civil rule, a court rule that she's citing. A motion to reconsider under Rule 59E should be granted to correct a clear error, whether of law or of fact, or to present newly discovered evidence and to prevent a manifest injustice. So she's citing Firestone versus Firestone for this. A motion for reconsideration must show why the court should reconsider its prior decision and set forth facts of law of a strongly convincing nature to induce the court to reverse its prior decisions. So basically, she's saying, court, you messed up. You got to reconsider, and these are going to be the reasons why. Defendant does not have absolute immunity in suits for equitable relief. So FINRA, in their filing, said we've got immunity, but they only have immunity from monetary damages. A self-regulating organization, SRO, FINRA enjoys absolute immunity from private suits seeking damages for actions within the scope of FINRA's regulatory authority. So this is DL Capital versus NASDAQ Market, so on. Plaintiff's lawsuit seeks equitable relief, not damages. So she's saying, I don't want money. I just want you to do the right thing and fix the problem. So therefore, you do not have immunity in this situation. Whether immunity applies will turn on whether an action against FINRA arises from the conduct within the scope of their regulatory function, and only in those cases seeking damages. Basically, if what they did was something they had to do as a regulator, you can't sue them for that. But if what they did is they claimed they were doing as a regulator, but were really jerking off the hedge fund the entire time, then you can sue them. Since this suit does not seek damages, but rather equitable relief and the ability to examine records, she underlies that, FINRA is not immune from this suit. In 2009, Amerivet Securities prevailed in a motion against the defendant requesting an accounting in the same nature as plaintiff's request and overcame absolute immunity and claims for equitable relief. Also, like the plaintiff's immunity of SROs and exchanges is limited to activities related to the regulatory function and not to its proprietary or profit-making activities. See Weissman versus NASAD. Firm relevant part, blah, blah, blah. Immunity applies only to regulatory activities, but not to other functions such as profit-making activities, advertising, or criminal activity. Absolute immunity is available to an SRO only when it carries out regulatory functions. SROs perform functions that would otherwise be performed by government agencies, including the SEC, would not be entitled to sovereign immunity rights for all suits. Would be entitled to sovereign immunity for all suits for money damages. So basically, you couldn't sue the SEC for regulating for monetary damages. Same with FINRA. So she's making the argument, yes, if I was seeking monetary damages, I wouldn't be able to sue them, but because I'm not, screw you. In order to determine whether the misconduct did or did not fall within FINRA's regulatory function or is intended to act in concert with co-conspirators depends on the facts that plaintiff can only determine with the ability to review the requested accounting. An accounting will reveal the current short and naked short positions of MMTLP, whether the defendant regulated bad actors and allow for reconciliation to occur, and preserve the 1-to-1 exchange ratio of NextBridge hydrocarbons without requiring additional shares be issued, which dilute the shareholders' investment. So she's saying, we have proof that there's shorts that still exist. Now we need to know exactly how many there are. And the court has already ruled in previous cases, FINRA's had to show that. And if it shows that there's a whole bunch of short positions, naked or otherwise, those have to be reconciled before there's an issuance of NextBridge hydrocarbons. The proposed timeline of events to occur is set forth by the final prospectus. Imminent harm and deletion of actual assets, replacement by worthless tracking QSIPs. So she's now stating more harm that's happened to her by these QSIPs that keep popping up. Proposed timeline of events to occur to set forth by the final prospectus indicate a final trading date of the symbol of MMTLP on December 12, 2022, and deletion of the symbol on December 14, 2022, followed by a 1-to-1 exchange of NextBridge hydrocarbons within a 2-week period. NextBridge Hydrocarbons has distributed to the brokers who have not issued shares to shareholders due to outstanding short and naked short positions. So we can't get the 1-to-1 because there's too many shares, leaving them unable to reconcile with the shares provided. As of the day of this filing, not one share of NextBridge Hydrocarbons has been distributed to a single shareholder. It has been more than 30 days from the date of the halt imposed by the defendant. The imminent harm to plaintiff and shareholders alike is either the total loss of any rights to assets, MMTLP or NextBridge Hydrocarbons, or the dilution of NextBridge Hydrocarbons, both remedies harming the plaintiff. So she's saying, without having a market, plaintiffs are harmed. This is FINRA's fault. The defendant was aware of the 9,519,125 short positions existing as of December 8th, 2022, when they implemented the U3 halt, effectively insulating brokers and market makers that hold short positions from closing the short position at market value, thus enriching the financial interests those brokers and financial interests of those brokers or market makers. Daily list notices are issued by the defendant and put brokers on notice of noteworthy events on a security that may be invested in, such as a spinoff into a private company like MMTLP. It allows brokers to take necessary steps to cover positions, invest, or divest. Although defendant had notice of effectiveness of final prospectus on November 25th, 2022, so weeks and weeks earlier, and failure to deliver MMTLP for 45 days straight, defendant issued daily list notices on December 6, 2022 and December 8, 2022, indicating purchases executed after 12/8 will not receive the distribution, informing brokers of deletion to occur at close of business on 12/22. Shorting volume in excess of 9 million then occurred on December 8th. At midnight, the defendant issued a halt of all trade activity to be lifted upon deletion of the symbol. Due to the excessive short positions and failures to deliver, brokers are unable to issue Nextbridge hydrocarbons at 1-to-1 value and have provided a CUSIP number that is not tied to any asset or shares in a company. The revolving doors of CUSIP numbers indicate the inability to reconcile the 1-to-1 exchange, therefore immediate and current harm to shareholders, including plaintiff, that cannot be resolved until reconciliation has occurred. So she's saying, because part of Finra's argument was, well, why is the defendant suing us if like other people aren't harmed? So she's now pointing out here, like, hey, it's not just me who is harmed. I happen to be suing, but it's all investors in this company who are being harmed right now. Plaintiff and shareholders are harmed by repeated issuance of new non-asset, non-company, non-value CUSIP numbers, which have replaced the real asset of oil and gas held as Series A preferred shares. The unstable nature of the CUSIP numbers, which have changed, are different across brokerages. Hold no actual value other than representing obligation and thus cannot be traded on an OTC market or stock exchange. They are not part of the exchange process and pose exponential harm to shareholders, as the current fulfillment obligation without access to OTC markets or stock exchange may only be redeemed by the dilution of Nextbridge hydrocarbon shares. Basically, she's saying right now the only solution is dilution, and the solution of dilution is pollution for distribution. Okay. Emergency status of intervention during the exchange process before Emergency status of intervention during the exchange process before synthetic shares cause dilution. Plaintiff has sustained loss of oil and gas assets from deletion of symbol MMTLP and failure to deliver Nextbridge hydrocarbons. As it stands, shareholders have a little recourse to receive Nextbridge hydrocarbon shares without a prayer for specific performance. Ownership in a company similar to real estate is best remedied by specific performance. See this case. And Tyson Foods, this one here as well. Unique acquisition opportunity, loss of which cannot be quantified. However, this remedy would be insufficient, as an order for specific performance would cause Nextbridge hydrocarbons to be diluted, and plaintiffs stand to lose either by total loss via failure to deliver or dilution of value. Public interest in ensuring that parties acting in concert do not dilute private company stock over which they have no authority. Finra is a regulatory agency for stocks on a national securities exchange or over-the-counter OTC market. Defendant's memorandum in opposition, introduction, private companies are not hosted on either the OTC market or any national stock exchange, meaning they do not fall under the jurisdiction of the defendant. The dilution and insulation of short positions on the OTC market has carried over beyond defendant's jurisdiction. So Finra has no regulatory authority over private companies. So once they put the halt on and Nextbridge went private, Finra basically said, not our problem anymore. It's out of our hands, right? And so she's pointing out that the defendant, Finra, created a problem and then shoved it off into this realm where they no longer have responsibility, right? It's like, I'll use the example when I was talking to her. It's like a county sheriff slowly chasing a defendant until they cross the county line and be like, well, bank robbers, that county's problem now. That's kind of what they did. Which market has carried over beyond defendant's jurisdiction, which is averse to public interest and beyond the scope of regulatory agents' purview and sphere of influence. To allow that dilution of a private company or mishandling of a private company beyond the bounds of the agency and due to the actions of securities market members and regulators will be a gross injustice and threat to the public en masse. To hold self-regulatory agencies and other agencies accountable by means of injunctive relief serves the public interest while preserving freedom from financial liability of the performing regulatory conduct. So basically saying, I'm not suing them for money. Again, I'm just asking them to fix the problem they created. Regulatory agencies are subject to antitrust laws, thus not superseded by the Exchange Act. Defendant erroneously cites Credit Suisse versus Billing to indicate securities laws preclude antitrust laws. Defendant's memo in opposition distinguishes SROs from securities underwriters to whom Credit Suisse is applicable. Investors harmed by underwriters' unlawful practices may bring lawsuits to obtain damages under securities law. Defendant has indicated that Finra has immunity from lawsuits for monetary damages, distinguishing the clear intent of Credit Suisse ruling as evidenced in the amicus brief, which states Congress has made clear that the proper approach to a claim that a federal regulatory statute impliedly repeals the antitrust laws with regard to challenged conduct is an analysis which reconciles the operation of both statutory schemes with one another, and rather than holding one completely ousted. Basically saying you can sue to rectify a problem they caused. You just can't sue for money. That's, again, what she's showing here. Okay. Finder of fact could, under the appropriate circumstances, infer the existence of a conspiracy in violation of the antitrust laws from evidence of discussions among alleged conspirators, combined with sufficiently probative implementing conduct. Citing the amicus brief. However, under circumstances of underwriters and an IPO syndicate, such discussions would not have probative value to establish that the underwriters were conspiring to engage in unauthorized conduct. Emphasis added. Antitrust immunity amongst underwriters allows for the necessary scheme of raising and assessing IPOs for future investors. In lieu, underwriters who have antitrust immunity are subject to liability for damages as a remedy. This is a direct contradiction from defendants' erroneous assertion of the intent and application of Credit Suisse ruling. Basically saying, if they conspired in committing a crime or doing a wrong, they do not have immunity in this case. And so she's saying we need an accounting to find out if they conspired to do a wrong. And if that's the case, then guess what? They have no immunity in this, even for monetary damages. The court has repeatedly rejected the view that all conduct regulated under another statutory scheme enjoys a blanket exemption from antitrust law. Cites another case. Activities which come under jurisdiction of regulatory agency, nevertheless, may be subject to scrutiny under the antitrust laws. So, citing again, case precedent that they can be sued. Likewise, the conduct of the defendant is not shielded from scrutiny under the antitrust laws merely because it involved in regulatory function if it utilizes that position to further antitrust violations. The court has recognized that the immunity doctrine does not sweep within its scope all conduct that bears any connection to the core protected conduct, amicus brief, blah, blah, blah. By parity of reasoning, implied antitrust immunity does not extend to conduct that occurs in conjunction with permissible underwriting activities, but can be considered separately without chilling authorized underwriting activity. Similarly, insulating the losses and risk of brokers and market makers at the expense of shareholders or public investors can be entirely separated of other regulatory activities conducted by the defendant. Basically, if you put your thumb on the scale, you have no immunity. Again. Ruling in plaintiff's favor, remedy is provided by interfering with taking and dilution at the expense of shareholders class, which plaintiff is a member. She's pointing out more damages. So by ruling in plaintiff's favor, the court can intervene before plaintiff suffers loss. So this is why she wanted the emergency injunction and why it's time sensitive and why they need to pick their ass up, get their rear in gear. Finra erroneously claims the extraordinary event justifying the halt is uncertainty in the settlement and clearing process. This is the really brilliant one. I love this whole section right here. Torchlight Energy Incorporated, Torch, entered into a merger with Metamaterial Incorporated, creating the Series A preferred share known as MMTLP. It's actually MMATA or whatever originally. The record date to receive a 1-to-1 exchange of symbol MMTLP and 2-to-1 exchange of symbol MMAT was June 24th, 2021. Any trades made after June 24th, 2021 would not qualify for the MMTLP oil and gas asset preferred shares. On June 24th, 2021, trading on Torch continued until the close of business. As of June 28th, 2021, the settlement and clearing process was complete. So she's showing that in the past, when a preferred share or special dividend or something had a date of record, Finra allowed trading after that date of record. And settlement, they didn't care about settlement then, right? So why was Finra so concerned about settlement on December 9th, 2022, when on June 25th and 24th, 2022, they did not care? Settlement did not matter to them then. Why did it matter all of a sudden now? So on June 25th, 2021, trading on Torch continued until the close of business. As of June 28th, 2021, the settlement and clearing process was complete. And as of June 28th, 2021, trading began under the new symbol MMAT with no extraordinary events. Wah, wah. The merger of Torchlight Energy and Metamaterials is arguably a significantly more complex settlement process to settle. The exchanges occur for different rates and different rankings of stock, preferred stock and common stock. However, trading continued past the record date and settlement cleared without significant uncertainty. And the defendant did not interfere or halt trading. MMTLP was intended to be a non-tradable preferred share. However, trading continued on or about October 7th, 2021, contrary to the proxy statement published to the SEC June 11th, 2021. Short positions of MMTLP were recorded on the day it began trading, although it was not intended to trade. The timeline of events has consistently demonstrated a lack of regulation and imminent threat of harm to plaintiff that can only be resolved by equitable relief. Further, the defendant has been found of colluding with broker-dealers in their arbitration process and final judgment, citing the Wells Fargo case that came out recently, where Finra was letting Wells Fargo select arbitrators who would rule in their favor. You're not supposed to be able to select your own arbitrators. Arbitrators should be totally random and unbiased, but Finra was allowing Wells Fargo to put their thumb on the scale. Is currently undergoing appeal. Plaintiff's assertion the defendant has acted in concert with brokers and market makers is further enshrined by the findings of the Trial Superior Court of Georgia. The court found Wells Fargo and its counsel manipulated the arbitrator selection process through Finra's dispute resolution program, where Finra allowed them to redline arbitrators from the selection process. For the foregoing reasons, plaintiff respectfully requests this court grant the plaintiff's motion for the reconsideration to vacate its prior decision, thereby reconsidering the motions for preliminary injunction and temporary restraining order before the court. Rosa hit a giant home run with this sucker and killed it. She absolutely she hit every single solitary crappy point that Finra made in their response and just brutalized it with a meat cleaver. It was absolutely, this was brilliantly written. She did such a good job. So there you go. I think I missed so there you go. There you go. Ecorleto 46. And I missed some super chats while I was doing that. So there's a brief explanation. How long was it? 20 something pages? 19 pages. 19 pages. Quick, succinct, beautiful, well done. And hope Rosa's enjoying her vacation and hope she's getting lots of sleep. James Head, Houston, I have been through all stages of grief with these stocks, so at this point I am zen until something pops. Also been perfecting katsukare from scratch at home. Oh my god, best meal of all time. Dude, Japanese curry is amazing. So good. Get it whenever you have the chance. Quiet Quest, any news in MMTLP? Any truth to Scotia price? We talked about that a little earlier. It looks like it's been rectified back down to 0. So I have no idea what caused them to list a price for it this weekend across so many different brokerages in Canada. None. But there you go. SS Mo Johnson doesn't like me reading legal documents. I'm sorry, my man. It happens. I like that while I was reading the legal documents, there's 472 of you in here. And the minute I stopped, we were down to 205. So obviously you guys love it when I read legal briefs to you. Bunch of weirdos. Echo Aleto 46. Thank you. Okay. What time is it? 4:10. I've got like 25 more minutes that I can be on today, and then I gotta run away. So, and remember, today's a makeup show because yesterday was a holiday. There's no trading, whatever. So today is a special little Tuesday show. I'll do another regular show tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly what time. I have that call with the CNN editor, and so it'll be sometime after that. But it's coming. We'll figure out what time tomorrow. Okay. Why is okay. Sorry, my mouse is acting weird as I try to scroll and find my place here. DG, what other cities are people going to protest in front of the SEC? There's SEC branch offices. SEC branch offices. Regional offices. Here we go. So we've got offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Salt Lake, Denver, Fort Worth, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. So the main SEC building is right by the Capitol in DC, and they have branch offices all over the country. Why they don't have one in Seattle, I don't know, considering that there's like a whole bunch of Fortune 500 companies based here, but whatever. And Russell Investments is here as well. So those are the places people are going to go protest. I understand why you protest on the weekend, because that's when people can get time off, but there will be no one in the offices on the 27th and 28th because it's the weekend. So you can be protesting in front of some empty offices. So it's you'll get like, pictures in a newspaper or whatever. But if you really wanted to make noise, you have to do it during the work week. I would love to be able to schedule a march in DC in front of Finra during the week. That would be fantastic. While they're in the offices going, oh my God. Because right now, when we go protest, they're going to be at home watching football. So there you go. Jen R, thank you. Thank you, Jen R. No, thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. I think Wheatwell's trying to send me coordinates for Eye of Africa again. I'm going to open it up without you guys seeing where he goes, and if it's Eye of Africa, I'm going to scream. Ah! There. Nope. We're ignoring that. Okay. Okay. Frodo Baggins, it's all like the evil universe from Star Trek, except everyone has opposite facial hair. Exactly. The darkest timeline, as it would be in Community. Bitcoin Houston, so you're saying that when Captain Kirk passes through the universe barrier, it sets off the end of the universe. I mean, at least for Captain Kirk, he would hit the antimatter and just bloop. That'd be it. That would be it. Boss. So now there's also a universe where you choose to eat the baseball. Exactly. Which didn't even occur to me, but now there is one out there where I eat the baseball because that's what dogs do. They love eating leather baseballs. Earth is cloaked alien planet. Jay, will GME be the last heavily shorted stock to squeeze because they try and figure out the other ones first? No, we've had plenty of squeezes. Just none of them as big and prominent as what GME did in January 2 years ago. So we may see it happen again. The fact that these deep out of the money puts are all canceling, are all expiring, will probably make for some very, very weird buying. Whether it's other deep out of the money puts, or whether it's shares themselves, or whether it's weird swaps, who knows? I wouldn't put it past them because we might see some rollovers. Let's see if we can do GME options chain. Okay, so get the options chain going here. Come on. So this is for this week. Calls, open interest. There's 16 calls at 25 cents. This someone bought these calls a while ago, If they hadn't exercised them when it was like $300, I don't know what is going on. But there's only one a dollar. Implied volatility is 2,400%. And we do have a whole bunch at the very, very far end of the spectrum. So it's a big long options chain. We got 169,000 at $237. So a bunch of those are going to expire worthless. We got a bunch more, $29,950. These things were super cheap. They probably cost you $1 or something. And those are super cheap. Those are going to expire worthless. So there's, 200 million shares or whatever they're expiring. But look at these guys. 25-cent put, 140,000 of them. 50-cent put, 112,000. We got hundreds of thousands leading all the way up to the actual share price, which is 20-something dollars. So we've got, I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000. There's 40 million shares right there. And those are all expiring. Now, they've been doing some rollovers of these things, but they're worthless. If we wanted to go to the deep stuff further out, let's look at 2024. January 19th, 2024. Whoops, how the hell did I, what? Why did I click on add somehow? 2024, we have, we got some thousands, 18,000 at 127. We have a few thousands at 500s, but that's not very much. The puts for a year out, we got 11,000. So there's basically 130,000 that are going to go blink at 25 cents. And they replaced 11,000 of them at 250. Okay, whatever. But there's not very many there. We go 2025, 2 years out. 2 years out, we got a couple thousand at $60. We have 99 at $3. So there is nothing in the deep options that even come close. I wonder if there's anything for like the June, July. Any big numbers in June? Nope. July? Nope. So they really have not rolled anything over yet. So they have no way to cover 100 million shares or something that are tied into those options. None. So what are they going to do? If they lose their ability to cover their position as required by Reg Show by identifying buyable shares, which they're doing by buying these deep out of the money puts, and they haven't rolled them over yet into other ones because they're just that much more expensive. And when those expire, they lose all the money they spent on them. So they may have spent, let's say they bought 1 million options. Let's bring out the calculator. Okay, calculator. All right, 1 sec. Calculator. Bing. There's the calculator. Okay, I'm going to turn off Chrome. Got the calculator. All right. Oh, I'm back in scientific. I don't need to be in scientific. That's going to be regular. Standard. There we go. Okay. So 1 million options means 100 million shares, right? So there's 1 million options. Let's say, let me look at what's the cost of something that's 2 years out. So strike is 2 there. So price for something for July. Oh, sorry, that's July. I want to look at 2025. Okay, so price for the cheapest strike, 55 cents. That's $55 million, right? If you want to get 1 million of them, you spend $55 million times $55, $55 million. Okay, you may have spent, and remember, these puts were purchased 2 years ago when the stock was doing all sorts of weird things. You may have originally bought that 25-cent share, that 25-cent put may have been $1 before the stock split, because we're going to split it 4 ways. The price goes down 1/4, and so on. And so you may have purchased those things for $55 or $100 million to get enough of those suckers. That money's blinked out of existence. You just lost $100 million cash trying to hedge your bet via unobtainable strike prices on puts. And now you got to spend another 55 million to do the same thing all over again for puts that are going to do it. So now you're spending 155 million dollars, and they haven't done it yet because that's a cash that you got to come up with, and they're going to lose whatever margin they had on the value of those puts this Friday. So they could face, some of these smaller hedge funds could face some margin calls as a result of losing the value of those deep out of the money puts and calls that they spent cash on. It's a real crapshoot, that is. Real crapshoot. Martin Weiss, is Kenny an egomaniac or actively evil? AKA, why do billionaires keep being nasty when they could just chill? I think he's a complete sociopath. I mean, just reading, like, when he beat his wife with the leg of their bed, like they had like a 4-post bed, he tore the leg off one and beat his wife with it. That tells me he got some sort of cluster B personality disorder. After watching the Madoff documentary and seeing how he had a market maker side and a hedge fund side, and the hedge fund side was nothing but crime. And Bernie Madoff's biggest problem is he didn't put a limit on how much people could withdraw. They could withdraw as much as they wanted. So people could be like, I want my $100 million back. And you go, oh, shit. And he'd write down $100 million and write them a check for it. Whereas Kenny learned that lesson. He put them at a 6% limit. You can only take out 6% of your investment in this fund per quarter. And that way they couldn't pull out everything. And suddenly they just made like a 30% return in the fourth quarter versus losing money for 2 years straight on their fund. Bullshit. I mean, their market maker side has $100 billion in securities sold but not yet delivered. And what we saw from Madoff, so Madoff had no problem passing cash back and forth between the hedge fund and the market maker to keep them afloat. No problem doing that. So do you think Ken doesn't have a problem doing that? It's the guy who beat his wife with the post from their bed, right? He doesn't care. He's doing exactly the same crap. So I think it takes a certain level of sociopathy to even get to the point where they are. There's probably some Citadel guy in here right now who's like, I'm gonna write this down and we're gonna sue you, but it's already in legal documents, man. You can search it yourself. Lily's Grand Mabel. Hi, who are you talking about with Risk Diabetic? That's No Labs. It's a company based here in Seattle. They have invented a wearable, non-invasive glucose monitor. Basically, it uses radio signals and it measures how much glucose is in your bloodstream in real time, connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and can tell you like, hey, you're fine right now, or hey, you need an insulin shot, hey, you should eat a cookie, whatever. So you don't have to do blood draws. And if they get FDA approval, and they got a couple more rounds of human testing they have to do, if they get FDA approval, then they have got a system set up to become a $100 billion company. And they're small now. Their market cap's only like $86 million, but they're further along than the other companies that have invented their own non-invasives. So if they get to market first, they're going to dominate. David Rotker. I joined a lot of the spaces, and at first they were routed in fact and debates, investigation, and noise. But lately, it's been surface level regurgitation and emotional support groups. Oof. Yeah, I mean, there's other ways to spend your time. People will ferret out stuff on their own, and they'll produce the info, and you have something to read later. Or you can go ferret out information on your own. But the space calls are really just, I think, for the most part, they're kind of a waste of time. A lot of it is this could have been an email type meetings that nothing. I don't know what it is about meetings, but some people just love them, and I just want to die when I'm stuck in a meeting. Oh, and there's the reset of the chat. Thank you, chat resetting. Okay. Tesla going to court tomorrow. What do you think that's going to do? Is this the court case about them, the labor case where they laid people off and didn't give them severance, or is it the court case about them having really racist factories, or is it the court case about their full self-driving that's garbage, or is it the court case about I don't know which court case it is. They got ruled against in federal court. They were trying to move it to Texas because there was 2 people who were going to be biased against them in San Francisco, and the judge was like, "So, don't commit crime in San Francisco, man." And that's kind of what he ruled. Lap 27, Houston, can we charge our brokers a high amount per share per day until we get our next batch hydrocarbons, since we never signed up for any use of fake company? How can we do this legally? Well, I wonder if you sue claiming that you've got fake shares in your account, and fake shares represent lending more or less, right? Can you sue for the lost revenue of a share lending program you didn't agree to? I don't have lending turned on. I'm in a cash account. I told them specifically, do not lend my shares. So if it turns out that I've got a bunch of fakes in my account, because when it came, either they purchased shares that didn't exist, or when it came to a closing, because this is a broker to broker clearing situation. When it came to closing these suckers, did I end up buying a fake share, and my broker or something, my broker sold a fake share to somebody else, and had to reach into my account and take out a real share to do that clearing and put a synthetic in there? I didn't agree to that. I did not lend. So why would I have fake shares in my account if I did not lend? And fake shares implies lending. So they should owe me back money for all of the lending I inadvertently did. But we won't know that until Finra has to give the accounting in Rosa's lawsuit. And that's kind of what we're sitting on there, is we're waiting for the judge to say something about that. Will Finra have to give this accounting? Cat, what are you doing? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Burp it up. Jay, what about this? ICANN buys a huge position in BBBY, then sells RC Bye Bye Baby in exchange for GME shares so he can close without buying them at the market. It's possible. RC would have to give up control of GameStop at that point, which I don't know if he necessarily wants to do. I think if I were Carl Icahn, I would be dropping money on a whole bunch of near at the money calls. So let's see what it looks like call wise. I'm gonna go back to Chrome here real quick, and let's look at stuff that's in like March 17th. Okay. We got some decent open interest here. $20, quite a bit. Quite a bit there. A couple thousand there. A couple thousand. Any deep stuff? No. There are some ridiculous puts at $13 though. What about February? Not too many on the 24th. 17th. All right, got some thousands here. $25, quite a few. If I were Carl Icahn, I would drop, 50 or $100 million on call options. So, you just buy a whole bunch of them. 9,035 and so on. There's a few. 11,000 at 80. That's a lot. 11,080. Holy smokes, that's a lot of them. I would buy in this realm, and then I'd start closing out my short position with cash, and that would cause the price to spike. Your call options become worth a fortune. You close out your position and you sell your call options or exercise them, close out your position, and then pocket the rest. You just made a killing both ways on that, because he may have shorted at $400, and which would be equivalent of $100 today. So you're making $80 a share essentially off each one of those, plus whatever on top of um, uh, uh, you make on the call options. That would be the strategy. Make money both ways. And then you got to, in the end, you might have a whole bunch of shares in the company that has no debt and is poised to be profitable, which is what Carl Icahn likes. So I think that would be a pretty wise way to go. It wouldn't involve RC having to give up control of GameStop. Okay, I got 5 more minutes. Frodo Baggins, if you find yourself in and around Houston, do yourself a favor and check out NASA's Johnson Space Center. Growing up in Houston, we went on a few school field trips there, saw some cool stuff. I would love to go and go eat some soul food, because there's some good fatty restaurants in Houston. Including Mercury rockets on the side of the road leading up to there, and moon rocks. Heck yeah. Silver Lady, have you ever been diamond hunting in Arkansas? Crater diamonds, diamonds being found every day. I have not gone to Crater of Diamonds. I go to kimberlite pipes throughout the American West, basically Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and find diamonds there. Crater Diamonds is a cool spot. They kind of teach you how to do it, but you can't do it on a large scale with like a dredge and sluice box like I do when I just go to like the National Forest with a kimberlite pipe. But the diamonds get found at Crater Diamonds. They do sell for quite a bit because they make it in the news and people can put them on auction and stuff and make good money out of them. But you'll spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to find one little itty bitty diamond where if you got a sluice box and a good kimberlite pipe, you can find like 80 carats a week out in the wild. Dustin Wright, we had a DARE program. Cops came to our classroom and showed us what real crack rocks look like. We had different schools. DARE. Our DARE officer, we had one who was a complete alcoholic, and then he stopped being a DARE officer, and we got the guy who was constantly forced to like turn in his badge for abusing and physically assaulting suspects and like members of the public and like accidentally shooting them in the butt and stuff like that. And the dude spent his like 20-year career basically under review at all times for excessive force. He finally got fired. Some of you guys know much about, I've maybe talked about this in the past, but our police department was really, really, really corrupt for being kind of a wealthy, white class, not so much crime area. The cops were providing protection for an illegal brothel. And they were providing protection for an illegal speakeasy where they were trafficking underage high school girls through there to, strip and perform sex acts, all sorts of gross stuff. And this racket was going pretty well for them, until they killed a mentally ill man and then tried to cover it up. The mentally ill man had called 911 and then hung up. So 911's like, hey, can you go do a welfare check at this address? We just had to hang up. And they went, and the guy, knocked on his door. He lived in an ADU above his parents' garage, and he was bipolar. And the cops knew him. Like he's a little bit crazy town. Would have some episodes. Police have to respond for a long time. And he, knocked on his door. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. And they shot through the door and killed him. And then when ambulances came, they refused to let the ambulances in, saying, no, this man came after us with an axe. He's dangerous. We got to secure the area. And this poor dude bled to death on the other side of the door over the course of 2 hours before they finally let the cops in, or let the ambulance in. And then the cops tried to say oh yeah, he tried to attack us with an axe. It was totally justified, all this stuff. What they didn't count on was that the mentally ill man's brother-in-law was the station chief, or what do we call it? The station chief for the local FBI office. The dude was the leader of the FBI in the Seattle area. And they investigated and found these cops had shot through the door, lied about it, let him bleed to death and everything else. And so the chief got fired, these cops got fired, and the new chief came in to clean house. And the DARE officer, who is an abusive racist, he still pops up on our community Facebook groups, and he's just such a racist piece of shit. But so he was the lieutenant in charge of the munitions cabinet. And the new chief, who's this kind of upstanding Mormon guy who, no nonsense, we're going to do things by the book. He says, Officer so-and-so says here that you're in charge of the munitions cabinet. So, yes, sir, I am. But could you give me an inventory of the munitions cabinet? He's like, what's an inventory? He's like, oh, you just take the sheet and you count how many riot shields, helmets, shotguns, ammunition. Just count everything that's in the closet and then mark it down on the sheet of paper. And we just have an idea of how much there is in there. And he's like, okay. And he goes and he counts all the stuff in the missions closet and hands it to the chief. The chief goes, okay. So it says we have 5 riot shields, 4 helmets, 6 shotguns, but we should have 20 riot shields, 25 helmets, 18 shotguns. So I want to know where these hundreds of thousands of dollars in weapons went, because you're responsible for that cabinet. So there's 2 options here. I can charge you criminally for stealing all the stuff out of the missions cabinet and fire you and you lose your pension, or you can retire now and never work as a cop again. The guy was like, I guess I'm going to retire now and never work as a cop again. So they did that kind of stuff and managed to clean house on a lot of these dudes. Most of them should have gone to prison. But anyway, that was our DARE officer. So, ta-da! Okay. Is that all I got? That's all I got for now. Maybe one more here towards the end. Sorry if I didn't get to your questions and whatnot. Oh yeah, and our poor Daphne got banned from Twitter for no reason whatsoever. Daphne is a sweetheart. What on earth could they have banned her for? I don't know. So people yell at Twitter that Daphne 999 has been banned for no reason and see if she can get her account back. And Daphne definitely appeal every single day. Just bog them down with appeals until they finally relent. That's what happened to me. I repealed 500 times and I finally got my account back. Okay. All right, is that all I got? That's all I got. I got shit to do, my mans. Everybody, I'll see you tomorrow at some point. Hopefully I'll have an update from the editor at CNN about whatever it is happening. And I'll give you guys the update when it happens. Monkey Butt, anything to add? No? Just a little soft dog face? Okay. Kitty Cat, anything to add? Just a belly on the ground? Cool. All right. I think that's it. Word, homies. Have yourselves a great night. Bye. Wait. One more time. Bye-bye. Hmm.